was, and how there are little pieces of that and how it relates to their business. So growing up, what was it like? Were you into sports? Where did you
Yeah.
live? What was family like?
Yeah. So growing up, I was born in Denver. My parents met at a job in Denver, and so I have one brother, and we were both born out in Colorado. And then when I was a toddler, we moved to Dallas. So I was raised in a suburb in Dallas, Texas, which I don't have the accent all the time, but I can totally throw it on if I need to. But
Maybe we'll get to that at some point
yeah,
into the
yeah, we
into
should,
the
we should. But
podcast.
yeah, but I mean, my childhood, when I look back on it, I feel really positive things in my memories. I mentioned I have one brother. He's a little older than I am. We're 15 months apart, so we're kind of in that like Irish twin stage. And it's really funny because we are polar opposites. I mean, we get along, but
Yeah,
we do not process anything the same, which is now as a parent of two, I'm seeing it happen with my children. And I'm like, God, it's just, you're innately wired certain ways.
yeah,
But I definitely was like an athlete. I mean, I got into athletics when I was pretty young. And I tried all different kinds of sports. We joke, my mom, I guess the pediatrician told my mom I was going to be like 5'2". So I was like in gymnastics, and I had a lot of fear of like the tumbling. Once you had to start learning tumbling on a beam, I was like, I don't think I have this in me.
yeah.
And so I am 5'8", so they were a little wrong on my height. But I got into swimming, and like I said, I did other sports until about like, I don't know, like high school, middle school, I guess, eighth grade. And it was just became a calendar thing. Like I just didn't have time. Although I feel like my mindset, even when I was young, like I had a coach tell me like, you can't do other sports. And I was like, well, now I'm going to go do another sport because I don't want you to tell me I can't do it. So,
Yeah.
so I think I had like that high achiever thing from a young age. But I was a competitive swimmer and swam through college. And, it's a grind of a sport, as, several sports are. But taking it to that level, I think, um, at a young age, I definitely learned I was doing it for myself. My parents were supportive, but they were not over involved, which
Sure.
I now look at as a complete gift, to be honest. It was like my thing,
Yeah.
and my parents, as long as I was happy, they were great supporting it. But like if I was miserable, they weren't the ones that I felt like I had to keep doing it because my parents were so invested
Sure.
in it.
Sure.
So I think that afforded me the longevity in the sport. And at each stage, I definitely had, some hurdles and all that stuff, but I learned so much just through that. That was a big part of I think, like formative years.
Yeah.
Um, but my mom jokes with me that like I guess I was a late walker. Like I didn't walk right away, but she said you didn't, or actually it was crawling. I didn't really crawl, and she said all of a sudden you just started walking across the room. So I think, I don't know. I mean, take it for what it is. I feel like I wanted to know I could get across the room walking, not crawling. So I waited until I thought I could do that.
Someone told you that you can't walk and you just got up and did it, right?
I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, and trust me, there is like that sounds really great, but there are some major flaws in that too. We can get into that. But it's not all shiny when you operate like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I look back on childhood, and I had great friends. I felt like I was connected with my parents, like we have a healthy relationship. And even my brother, I mean, we fought a little bit in high school, but like who doesn't?
Right. Right.
I look back on it with a good memory for sure.
Yeah. I'm curious because you said that you kind of had that achievers mentality, right? If someone said you can't do it, you're going to go and do it, right?
Yeah.
Where did you get that from? Is it just a gift, or is it someone like, in your family, or in your immediate surroundings that was a high performer?
Yeah.
Did you just
I
have it?
mean, I feel like I feel like a lot of it just came from myself. Now I say that with a lot of like humbleness because I've been surrounded by really awesome people,
Sure.
including my parents. My parents are both they were really successful. They're both now retired, but they were very successful in their own worlds as well. So I mean, there was probably a part of me that was watching that and maybe not even noticing it, but they were really good in their careers and. They were both they basically they met at McDonnell Douglas. They were in software development way back in the 70s when like nobody was in computer science, much less women. And
Yeah.
so I think I learned a lot by the dedication to their jobs. But I definitely remember talking to my dad once. I'm like, how did you? And maybe I was in high school, and I was like, how did you know that this is like what you were going to do? And at that point he was like an independent consultant, so he would basically be in a destination for like 6 months and
Sure.
travel back and forth from Dallas like on the weekends. And he's like, it was something I was good at, but he goes, it's not something I'm not passionate about my job. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm in this world at the time where it's like, you have to find your passion and that's where your career sits. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, my dad is telling me he doesn't have that even now. And ultimately he said to me, he was like, I'm good at it and it's a means to the end for me. And like
Yeah.
my dad at the time was like really into fly fishing. And so I feel like what I learned from my dad is like it's okay to work really hard in one area to find like play in another area,
Sure.
and almost to strike balance with that. So
Yeah.
I don't know though, the high achieving thing, I don't know. I've never liked to be failing. And I mean, trust me, I know we talk a lot about like how failure is so important, but like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it, but I do not enjoy it. Like I
Yeah.
do not enjoy it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And our parents' generation, right? Like you went to work and you did it, and that's what it was, right? And for me, and I got lucky in the sense of when I got into real estate, I had a mentor that it was always life slash happiness first,
Hmm.
and then work second. So I've kind of been blessed in the sense of I've always just did something that I enjoyed doing. But growing up, it's parents were at jobs for 20, 30 years, and maybe they didn't like it, but they were